December. It is also called Moksha Ekadasi, and the ISKCON people, etc., celebrate it as their Vaikuntha Ekadasi even. Okay, so this about it, you see very clearly Lord Krishna and Arjun, the great teacher and student. For us, Krishna is the teacher and Arjun is the student, because our focus is on teaching and learning. Okay, to just give a overview of the Bhagavad Gita, there are 700 shlokas in 18 chapters, 574 by Lord Krishna, 84 by Arjun, 41 by Sanjay, 1 by Dhritarashtra, the blind king, father of the Kauravas. Okay, so we always see the Lord Krishna and Arjun in the all Bhagavad Gita posters. We don't see Sanjay and Dhritarashtra. We see only Krishna and Arjun. Of course, Sanjay and Dhritarashtra put together have 42 slokas between them in the Bhagavad Gita. We'll touch upon their relevance in the later stage. Now, to give a brief overview of the various chapters, chapter 1 has 46 slokas known as Vishad Yuga, lamenting the consequences of war. And at Banasthali, we had a great professor who is considered the architect of modernizing Banasthali. Is Dadaji Divakar Shastriji. He has given a one-sentence interpretation for each chapter, and from Banasthali, it is my pride and pleasure to mention that also in today's talk. So, in Dadaji's word, it is wrong thinking is the only problem in life. That is the essence of chapter 1. Then comes chapter 2, 72 slokas, Sankhya Yoga, the eternal reality of the soul's immortality. And Dadaji's Divakar Shastriji's interpretation is right knowledge is the ultimate solution to all our problems. Third chapter, 43 slokas, Karma Yoga, the eternal duties of a human being. And Dadaji's interpretation is selflessness is the only way to progress and prosperity. Chapter 4, 42 slokas, Jnana Yoga, approaching the ultimate truth, and every act can be an act of prayer, says Divakar Shastriji. And next is chapter 5, 29 slokas, Karma Vairagya Yoga, action and renunciation. And Dadaji says, renounce the ego of individuality and rejoice in the bliss of infinity. Chapter 6, 47 slokas, Abhyasa Yoga, the science of self-realization, connect to the higher consciousness daily. That is Divakar Shastriji. Chapter 7, 30 slokas, Paramahamsa Vijnana Yoga, knowledge of the ultimate truth. Remember, here Vijnan means not physics, chemistry, math. The ultimate truth is Vijnan. Right? Live what you learn, Dadaji says. Chapter 8, 28 slokas, Akshar Parabrahma Yoga, attainment of salvation. Never give up on yourself, Dadaji says. Chapter 9, 34 slokas, Raja Vidya Guhya Yoga, confidential knowledge of the ultimate truth and value your blessing, Dadaji says. And chapter 10, 42 slokas, Vibhuti Vistara Yoga, the infinite glories of the ultimate truth, and Divakarji says, see divinity all around. Chapter 11, 55 slokas, Vishwarup Darshan Yoga, the vision of the universal form. Have enough surrender to see the truth as it is, Divakarji. Chapter 12, 20 slokas, Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion. Absorb your mind in the higher, Dadaji says. Chapter 13, 35 slokas, Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga, the individual and the ultimate consciousness. Detached from Maya and attached to divine, that is Divakarji. Chapter 14, 27, verse slokas, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, the three qualities of material nature. Live a lifestyle that matches your vision, says Divakarji. Chapter 15, 20 slokas, Purushottam Yoga, realization of the ultimate truth. Give priority to divinity, says Divakarji. Chapter 16, 24 slokas, the Vasura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga, the divine and demonic natures defined. Being good is the reward in itself, says Divakarji. See, these are one sentence summary of the entire chapter, right? It is not, it's just the interpretation. Chapter 17, 28 slokas, Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga, the three divisions of material existence. Choosing the right over the pleasant is a sign of power. Read it again. Choosing the right over the pleasant is a sign of power. That is Dadaji's statement. And chapter 18, 78 slokas, huge. Moksha Sannyasa, final realization of the ultimate truth. Wish you a blessed life, says Dadaji. Now, let's come to our sloka. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 47. Karmanye vadigarasye ma paleshu katachana ma karma palai hetu bhumi punam gotto karmani. You know it all over. You have the right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your action. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activity, nor be attached to inaction. As a teacher, we have the duty to perform, and we are not looking at our teaching from the point of, will my student be the board topper? Will my student be the gold medalist? Will he be this, that, rank holder? No, for you, all students are same, right? So do not bother about any results, but you perform your duty, right? And you are not entitled to the fruits of your action. To summarize, the duties of a teacher in teaching perspective inventory, the 5 perspectives. Transmission means knowledge transmission, apprenticeship meaning skill training, developmental, abilities grooming, developmental, nurturing, attitude nurturing, social reform, thinking values. A teacher has all these 5 perspectives, and every teacher does to some extent or other all these 5. Some may have one of them in a strong perspective, some of them in a weak perspective, but everybody has these 5 perspectives to hold on. Okay, now what these are is transmission. Effective teaching requires substantial commitment to the contents or subject matter. Focus on the subject matter. Apprenticeship means practicals. Effective teaching requires that learners perform authentic tasks within their zone of development. Developmental is the 3rd perspective. Effective teaching must be planned and conducted from the learner's point of view, not from teacher's point of view. In making a course handout, you do it from learner's point of view, not how fast you can cover the topic. Nurturing. Effective teaching assumes that long-term, hard, persistent effort to achieve comes from the heart, not from the head. It should nurturing attitude. Nurturing attitude should come from the heart, not from the head. That there must be an empathy by the teacher to the student. Social reform, awakening the student to values and ideologies, challenging the status quo, changing the value system of the learner. There are some great teachers during the freedom struggle who awakened the student to join the freedom struggle for the nation and fight for independence. There are, lots of them, but value changing. Like we say, Swami Vivekananda is a great teacher, right? Because he awakened everybody to the new values and ideologies there. Now, you may wonder, how am I going to do all these 5 perspectives? Can I do it? Can I do it? And now have you heard of Roger Bannister from England, who ran the mile race on 8 May 1954 in 3 minutes 59.4? What is so special about it? See, for 100 years, from 1850 to 1950, people thought in the world that nobody can run a mile less than 4 minutes time. And Roger Bannister said, I will do it. And he did it on 8 May 1954 in 3 minutes 59.4 seconds, just short of 4. But you know what is special? He said that I didn't break a record. I only broke the myth in the people's mind that they cannot do it, they cannot achieve it. And won't believe, within a few weeks from Roger Bannister breaking it, several people broke it. That's great, right? And let's take another philosopher from the West, Zig Ziglar. He says, you were born to win, but to be a winner, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win. Make a plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win. योजना बनाना है, योजना को तैयारी, जीतने को योजना बनाना है, जीतने को तैयारी करना है और जीतने को उम्मीद रखना है. Then only you will achieve what you want to be. If you are a good teacher and you want to be a great teacher, make a plan to become a great teacher, prepare to become a great teacher, and expect to become a great teacher. One Ralph Waldo Emerson, an American transcendentalist poet and philosopher and essayist, says, the secret in education lies in respecting the student. Right? Respecting the student. Next comes from the Mahabharata all over Guru Dakshina. There you can see Guru Drona. taking his fees from Ekalai, cutting his thumb as the Guru Dakshina. Okay, we are not going to go into the ethics of this Guru Dakshina, but we are going to look at it. If student has to give something to the teacher, does the teacher have anything to give to the student? Right, the reverse of Guru Dakshina. Okay, let's have a look at it. Yes, there are 14 things. There are 14 things you owe your student. That is the reverse of Guru Dakshina. A teacher owes his student to model genuine curiosity, jigyasa, to create an environment where it is safe to take risks and fail, to use empathy to reach students, to suggest sequence without putting learning on rails, to show updated expertise in the content area, to not stand between the learner and content. These are things which the teacher owes his student. To have a short memory of student mistakes. Student did some mischief in the class, you don't keep it in memory when correcting his paper and grading him. You should have a short memory, forget it then and there, and do your duty. Eighth thing, to make characteristics of quality for a given product or performance accessible. 9 is very important, to clarify a zone of proximal development, ZPD, and use it to help both scenes. ZPD means how much you will do hand holding of the student and when you will release your hand so that you will be on his own. That is the zone of proximal development. The very important educational psychology aspect. Then the 10th thing you owe your student is to use as many assessment forms as necessary to uncover understanding. Do as many evaluations as possible. To help students believe that they can do what they don't think they can. Read it again. To help students believe that they can do what they don't think they can. Wow. To prioritize unfamiliar content, to show what is possible, to remove barriers to learning. These are the things a teacher owes his student. That is the reverse of Guru Dakshina. Okay. Creating an effective and safe learning environment is another very important aspect for a good teacher to become a great teacher. Let's see what are the things which make a creating an effective and safe learning environment. There are 10 characteristics of highly effective learning environment. First, the student asks questions. Good question. Remember, in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna keeps asking questions to Lord Krishna and Lord Krishna keeps answering. Students ask questions. The good, effective learning environment. Questions are valued over answers. Remember, every question of Arjuna had a value. No question, Krishna said, oh, useless question, no answer, forget it. He answered every question. Questions are valued over answers. 3, ideas come from divergent sources. 4, a variety of learning models are used. Classroom learning empties into a connected community. Learning is personalized by a variety of criteria. Assessment is persistent, authentic, transparent, and never punitive. Means don't do assessment from the sake of how to punish the student, how to make a fool of the student. Make it persistent, authentic, and transparent. When the exam is over, correct the papers and show it to the student so that let him see that you have corrected. And announce the highest, average, and lowest marks so that the student knows where he stands. Then the 8th characteristic is criteria for success is balanced and transparent. Don't say if X student gets 40, he passes, and if another student gets 40, he fails. Criteria for success must be balanced and transparent and fixed. Learning habits are constantly modeled. There are constant opportunities for practice. These are 10 characteristics of highly effective learning environment. Remember, this happened in the Kurukshetra Yuddha Bhumi. The effective learning environment for the classroom happened in the battlefield between teacher and the student. And here we have air-conditioned rooms and, hi-fi, Wi-Fi, net-fi, and, Google Meet, Team, and WebEx and whatnot. Right? Why not create a highly effective learning environment? Okay, let's move to the next. Robert Frost, the man who wrote the great poem, Road Not Taken, says, I'm not a teacher, but an awakener. The very important thing, a teacher is not one who just delivers lectures and bhashanbazi. He's an awakener. He opens the mind of the student. Another quote, teaching is just not a profession, but it's responsibility and a passion. Shiv Khera, another great speaker, says winners don't do different things. They do things differently. As teachers, you may teach different subjects, but you do it differently. You don't teach English and mathematics in the same way, right? You do it differently, right? Good to great. How does a good teacher become a great teacher? That's our focus, right? There are 10 ways. I am doing in the reverse order, the 10th one, by making relationships a priority. If relationship between teacher and student are strained, no teacher can become great. By showing true content expertise. Only when you have subject expertise, you will become a great teacher. Then, see, great teaching doesn't mean, dialogue delivery like some Shah Rukh Khan or Amitabh Bachchan in some film in a rehearsed way, right? In the classroom, you are bringing out what you know to what the student doesn't know, right? True content expertise. Then by striving for personalization, different students may have different learning abilities, but you strive for personalization by always seeking meaning. Don't say anything without meaning. Validation and reasoning of what you say is important. By modeling curiosity, that awakening the curiosity, make him ask questions, right? By integrating technology meaningfully, right? This is the order of the day. By integrating technology meaningfully. In fact, you won't believe that when I came, our department net was down and my colleague immediately connected through the mobile, the hotspot, and opened the laptop, and I'm doing it. Technology may come and go, but the show must go on, right? By collaborating with other great teachers, don't feel shy to interact with other great teachers and share thoughts and learn from them. Then by measuring understanding in diverse ways, like open book exam, closed book exam, quiz, seminar, group discussion. There are many ways by which you measure how the student has understood what you have taught. By prioritizing, right, by getting out of the student's way. Don't be a hurdle don't be a toll booth between the student and the college, right? So you go out of the way, right? These are 10 characteristics how a good teacher becomes great. Let's come back to our focus, Bhagavad Gita. Okay, there you see Lord Krishna and the great teacher and Arjun, the ideal student. And I told you that Bhagavad Gita has 700 shlokas in 18 chapters, 574 were by Lord Krishna, 84 by Arjun, 41 by Sanjay, 1 by Dhritarashtra. You always see in the photo of Bhagavad Gita anywhere Arjun and Krishna standing next to the Rath. You don't see Sanjay and Dhritarashtra. Most people, if you ask, who told the first sloka to whom? Invariably, 99.9% of the people, students and teachers, are tempted to say by looking at the picture that Arjun told Krishna, I will not fight. That must be the first sloka. Because this is what we think. Because this is what we are seeing. Right? Or we think, Krishna told Arjun, no, you must fight. This is what we think. But what we see and what we think may not be correct. First sloka is neither by Arjun to Krishna nor by Krishna to Arjun to Krishna or Krishna to Arjun. The first sloka is by Dhritarashtra to Sanjay. That is the truth. And as a teacher, you must bring out the truth and not by looking at pictures and making guesses. Right? Oh, Krishna and Arjun, one must have done it. And you know the story, Arjun refused to fight and Krishna told him to fight. So your guess is, Krishna Arjun or Arjun Krishna. But the truth is, you are not seeing Sanjay and Dhritarashtra. The first sloka is by Dhritarashtra to Sanjay. That is the truth. Dhritarashtra vacha, dharmakshetre, kurukshetre, samaveda, yutva, mamaga pandavachaiva, kima kurvato Sanjaya. Dharmakshetra, kurukshetra, my children and Pandu's children with weapons are standing. What is happening, Sanjaya? Kima kurvato Sanjaya, tell me. This is what? The first sloka by Dhritarashtra to Sanjay. And remember, there is only one sloka by Dhritarashtra and his quota is over. There is no more Dhritarashtra sloka in Bhagavad Gita. Many people don't know which is the first sloka. Either students or teachers. So I thought it's my pleasure to bring this aspect today's talk. And now we wonder many more things that, okay, I have to become a great teacher, and do I have the energy and Shakti for it? Don't forget that from the time of birth, every teacher, in fact, every human being is empowered with three powers, namely Ichcha Shakti, desire, Kriya Shakti, action, and Jnana Shakti, knowledge. All individuals, all human beings are endowed with these three powers. How they use it is what matters. Okay. Now, these are the three Shaktis you have. Now, somebody may ask, how much of these I need to win the battle? Okay. Oh, let's see, compare the Pandava Sena and the Kaurava Sena as in Kurukshetra. Like now you have, what is that? Brigadier, brigade, battalion. In the army, you have different classification based on the size of the fighting effort. You call something as a brigade, you call something as battalion, etc., based on the number of soldiers and guns, etc. Right. Similarly, in those days, Pandava Sena and Kaurava Sena were identified in terms of Akshagvins. Pandava Sena had 7 Akshagvins and Kaurava Sena had 11 Akshagvins, almost 1.5 times, 1.57 times. Okay. And the one Akshagvin means it has one chariot, one elephant, 3 horses, and 5 infantry. The ratio is 1:1:3:5. Chariot to elephant to horse to infantry is 1:1:3:5. So you can see that the Pandavas had 1,53,090 chariot, equal number elephants, 1,53,090 elephants, and 3 times the horses, 4,59,270 horses, and 5 times the chariot, that is the 765,450 inventory. Remember, in the chariot, there is a man who drives the chariot and a man who sits and who stands and fights. The charioteer is not considered as a fighter. He is weaponless. His job is only to run the horses and take the rath. So he is not considered as a soldier. He doesn't carry weapons. So if you add all these numbers, right, 153,90, all the elephant, horses and infantry, don't count double number in chariot. Only the fighter in the chariot is considered as a warrior and not a Rathman, right? So it comes to 15,30,900 soldiers. Kaurava Sena had 11 Akshagvins, 2,40,570 chariot, 2,40,570 elephants, 3 times 7,21,710 horses, 5 times 12,02,850 infantry, right? Total 24,05,700. You can see the size of the Pandava Sena and Kaurava Sena. Kaurava Sena is almost 1.57 times more than that of the Pandava Sena. Pandavas had one great warrior, Arjun, and one great strategist, Krishna, and Kaurava Sena had many warriors, Bhishma, Pitama, Bhishma, Acharya Drona, Kulguru, Kripacharya, Ashwatthama, Maharati, Karan, right? Even Shakuni was considered great, but he played the role of a strategist. Just look at it. Pandava Sena had one great man, Arjun, and a great strategist, Krishna, and here you had half a dozen warriors, and only one strategist on the Kaurava Sena was, Shakuni. But Pandavas won. How did it happen? Let's go to the last sloka of Bhagavad Gita. The last sloka is by Sanjay to Dhritarashtra. Remember, in the first sloka, Dhritarashtra asked Sanjay, Kima Kurvato Sanjaya, what's happening? And now, in the last sloka, Sanjay answers Dhritarashtra. Yatra Yogishvara Krishna, Yatra Patto Dhanurdhara, Tatra Tir Vidyo Bhudi Drivanidir Madhimama. Where Lord Krishna and Dhanardhan Arjun is standing, that is where victory is there, and this is my judgment. This is what Sanjay tells Dhritarashtra. So the last sloka is also not by Arjun to Krishna or Krishna to Arjun. First sloka is by Dhritarashtra to Sanjay, and the last sloka is by Sanjay to Dhritarashtra, giving him the answer. Now, what is the relevance of this sloka for teaching and learning? Lord Krishna represents the teacher and knowledge, and Arjun represents the student and skills. When knowledge and skills perfectly match, victory is ensured. Right? This does not mean that the teacher carries a photo of Lord Krishna in his shirt pocket or as mobile screensaver and thinks that he has all the knowledge with him. No, this is knowledge. Krishna represents knowledge and Arjun represents skills. So as a teacher, you must play the role of both Krishna and Arjun, and to your student give both knowledge and skills. Then only victory for you and victory for the student come. This is the great significance of this sloka. Yatra yogishvara Krishno, yatra pasto dhanurdhara, tatra sri vidyo buddhi dhruvanidhi madhir mama. It is not Lord Krishna and Arjun, it is knowledge and skills. When they perfectly in harmony, in symbiosis with each other, victory is assured. That is their conclusion, the great sloka for teaching and learning. Okay, let's see more. What more does Bhagavad Gita say about teaching? Again, back to Lord Krishna and Arjun, the great teacher and the great student. Okay, I keep using great and we will dispute Arjun's greatness, toward the end. And hold on till then. 4 things a teacher can learn from Bhagavad Gita. 1, listen to the students. Lord Krishna very patiently listened to Arjun when he was demotivated. Arjun was demotivated seeing his relatives and cousins and brothers and relatives, and he was said that, no, I can't kill them. Right? He was demotivated. Remember, Arjun went to the best school, best teacher. Right? He went to the board of Dronacharya. He had a great teacher, Drona himself. All syllabus was duly covered. And in the exam hall, Kurukshetra, Arjun started getting confused. He was demotivated. Right? But Lord Krishna patiently listened to Arjun, and that only listening will help you to know more about your student, and the teacher-student relationship also strengthened. So listen to the student is a very important thing for a good teacher to become a great teacher. The day you stop listening to student from a good teacher, you will end up being a mediocre teacher. While listening, don't judge your student. When he's asking a question, don't say, who he is and all. Listen to him, right? Don't judge him and neither be angry on what he's saying. Just understand that he's on his way of learning and he will commit mistakes even in asking the question, but be patient. Listen to the student. Second thing a teacher can learn from Bhagavad Gita, satiate the hunger of inquisitive mind. Remember, as soon as you feel hungry, you look at, what Swiggy, Zomato and whatnot and get your burger and get something, and start eating. Same way, when there is an inquisitive mind, something which asks questions, right? Satiate the hunger. Answer. A teacher should feel very enthusiastic in answering the inquisitive mind and should not be irritated if the student asks more questions there. Some people will say, oh, sit down, don't waste my time, and you meet me after the class. Don't do that, Be patient with him, listen to him, answer him, listen to him enthusiastically, and answer him also enthusiastically. And Lord Krishna very patiently answered all questions that were arising in the mind of Arjuna. He didn't tell him, this is not in syllabus, this is not important from exam point of view, this will not, this question has never been asked by anybody. He didn't use any such dialogue. He answered all the questions very patiently. Third thing, answer the question with validation and reasoning. Don't answer for the sake of answering. It's like that. Don't do that. Answer with validation and reasoning. A student cannot believe in anything you say. Student thinks, sir didn't answer my question. He needs a proper reasoning of why or why not. Right? Why or why not? Reasoning should be given on your own experience or based on some logic. Find different creative ways of answering a problem. A student should not be taught to just assume things. An answer should not just be imposed on the student. Some teachers say, no, You take it, don't ask me, don't question me. This is the answer. Don't do that. Justify it, validate it, reason it. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna put his point with full validation and reasoning and convinced Arjuna in every possible way. Remember, Arjuna asked about, what happens when somebody dies. And Krishna patiently explains it is the body which goes and the soul is liberated and the soul never dies. The soul cannot be killed by any arrow. The soul cannot be killed by fire, water, and all disasters. The soul continues. So very patiently he made him understand. Right? So like you change clothes, the soul changes bodies. Very beautiful explanation by Lord Krishna. But the point here is the teacher must give validation and reasoning and explain it to the student and not say, don't ask, and these are useless questions, not from exam point of view. The fourth point, build a trust relationship with student. Trust relationship. एक mutual understanding होना जरूरी है. Lord Krishna Arjuna depicted the best student-teacher relationship where Arjuna had complete trust on Lord Krishna. He fully trusted him. Whatever he told, he trusted him. He didn't say that, no, आप गलत बोल रहे हैं. Right? Build a relationship with student so that after getting lessons from you, they have a strong belief that success is for sure. He is sure. Knowledge and skill is with him and there is no point of defeat. So build a trust relationship with student if you want to become a great teacher from being a good teacher. If you don't do these things from a good teacher, you will become a mediocre teacher. And at the end, the success and happiness is something that is going to give you immense satisfaction, right? The success of your student, when your student becomes the gold medalist and gold topper and let's say the rank holder and does something, you get immense satisfaction. To build a trust relationship with your student to become a great teacher. Or the pandemic has brought us into a mess from the last 1.5 years. The corona and now Omicron and whatnot, many more names to come. Technology-based learning has come into picture, which was not there, which was there in some way, but now it has become the in thing all over. Okay, it has now become the in thing all over, and from the village schools to tribal schools to everywhere, technology-based learning is happening. सीखे हम बीते युगों से, सीखे हम बीते युगों से, नए युग के करे स्वागत, नए युग के करे स्वागत, करे स्वागत, करे स्वागत, करे स्वागत. Now, when it comes, these are new skills. Remember, technology doesn't replace the teacher. It is the teacher who develops the technology. So I am giving some quotes from pedagogy and assessment through this technology digital learning platform by various famous people. Alvin Toffler says, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn and relearn. Right? If you want to learn, unlearn and relearn, technology comes into picture. Right? Alvin Toffler. Bill Gates. Right? The software he sold for us, luckily we are doing on Google Meet, probably we would have ended up doing on Microsoft Team also, right? But doesn't matter. Technology is just a tool, Bill Gates says. In terms of getting the kids working together and motivating them, the teacher is most important, right? Whether it is Google Meet or this or Blackboard or Whiteboard or projector, it is the teacher who is most important. And third quote by Jerry Blumengarten. Tech gives the quietest student a voice. Remember, in the class, many students hesitate to ask. Now, in the digital learning, even the quietest student starts asking questions. Sir, can you tell it again? Sir, dobara boliye. Right? Tech gives quietest student a voice. Oh, technology has added energy to him and he is now, pumped up to ask questions. Right? Gives quietest student a voice. Then technology will never replace great teachers, but in the hands of great teachers, it is transformational. George Couros. Read it again. Technology will never replace great teachers, but in the hands of great teachers, it is transformational. Right? Great things can happen if technology is in the hands of great teachers. So you want to become a great teacher, master the technology and make it transformational. Then come David Guri. Classroom don't need tech geeks who can teach. I mean, you don't need, people with PhD in computer science, to come and teach, geography in the school. Classrooms don't need tech geeks who can teach. We need teaching geeks who can use tech, right? We need experts in teaching who can use tech. Tomorrow, Google Meet may go, this may go, that may go, some new thing will come, but you remain the same. The teaching geek will end up using any technology. David Guri. And the last one is by unknown person, but very important. Technology will not replace teachers, but teachers who use technology will replace those who don't. Those teachers who say that I can't teach, with Google Meet and WebEx and Team and digital WhatsApp, etc., they will end up getting replaced. Teachers who use technology will replace those who don't use technology. Okay, that's about it. There is another great poem. Time is now coming to us to close the session, but let me make this here. This is again, this sloka, it doesn't, not clear from where it came, but one information says that source of this sloka is in Mahabharata Udyoga Parva 44:16. Right there. But whether it is in Udyoga Parva or not, we are not going to do research, but we are going to look at it from the teaching learning point of view. Acharyat padam adate padam sishyatva metaya padam sabbrahmacharyeva padam kalakramanicha. What does it say? Acharyat padam adate, from the teacher is learned a quarter, which means 25% of learning you do from the teacher. Look, whether you use technology or blackboard, you are only given 25% of knowledge transmission to your student. Padam Sishya Swametaya, another 25% is done by his student's own efforts and intelligence. Right? 50% is over. 25% from teacher, 25% from student's own efforts. Padam Sabrahmacharyeva. Brahmacharyeva doesn't mean unmarried, means colleague, peers, right? Friend. Padam Sabrahmacharyeva. A quarter from fellow students. Right? Your friends also teach you. Especially in technology, many students don't know how to use, and students tell how to do those things, those who are familiar. So many students have invariably become teachers, at least in the technology era, teaching his friend how to use a particular technology, using a PPT and, voice and animation and whatnot. And then comes the last, Padam Kalakramanica. And the last 25% with passage of time. Time alone will teach you. Right? 25% by teacher, 25% by student own effort, 25% by fellow student, and 25% Kalakramanica. Vaktisikayada. That is a great thing. And we can go on and on and on. And this is not talk on Bhagavad Gita, but we have looked at various aspects from Bhagavad Gita to inspire the teacher to make a good teacher into a great teacher. I was promising you that, Arjun, ideal student. But remember, Arjun went to the best school, Drona board, had the best teacher, Drona himself, had all syllabus covered, nothing was uncovered. In fact, he revised it so many times, but in the exam hall, he got jittery. Is he a great student? A great student should have gone into fighting. But in another argument, Abhimanyu is a great student because he also went to a board. He was taught by Krishna and Arjuna themselves, great teachers for him. And but his syllabus was not covered, time constraint, lockdown, and vaccination, and a teacher was on leave, and university was on strike. Right, syllabus was not covered, but Abhimanyu was ready to take the exam for Chakravyuh. Right, he was confident of what he knew to fight it out. So, in another argument, you can say that it is not how much you know matters, how much you are ready to apply what you know is what matters. So, in another school of thought, Abhimanyu could be treated as a great teacher, a great student, right? But let's not get into debating over this. We can do it, but let's just learn what we have talked today, how to how to make a good teacher into a great teacher. Let me end this conclusion. You may forget what all I had spoken. I had spoken a whole lot of things, but you'll never forget how I made you feel. Right. I'm sure I made a feel-good factor. Despite starting the lecture late in the evening at 7:30, I did my best to bring a feel-good factor. Right. Just make sure that you bring the feel-good factor after every lecture of yours. You will become a great teacher. Right there. So good to great is not a problem. There are slokas from Bhagavad Gita to inspire you. We have looked at various things, and I wish you all the best. And I thank Professor Nagendra Parashar, Vice Chancellor Bara University, who is known to me for the last almost 25 years, and for giving me this opportunity and inviting me to deliver this talk on this very important day of Gita Jayanti. And I also thank Dr. Mani Sharma for introducing me in a very nice way.
It's our pleasure, sir. It's our pleasure that you spare some time to share your thoughts, sir. It's our pleasure.
Thank you all. Thank you.
We feel honored, sir. We feel honored.
Thank you, Professor Natarajan. Thank you, Professor Natarajan, for a nice presentation. In fact, Professor Natarajan, as he mentioned, is known to me since last 25 years, and he was a great teacher at BITS Pilani, and he was popularly known among our teaching faculty members as Dean Nattu. He was Dean Distance Learning, and I quote his example several times with my friends that how he took the distance learning admission from 8,000 to 13,000, 14,000. I quote several times your example, sir. The presentation was very exciting, and wish you we wanted to have you on the board for many more times on the presentations like this. And thank you all for joining us. Even at evening night 8:30 you are with us. That's very impressive. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Professor Natarajan, once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you all, and I must thank my colleague Sandeep Patel, who stepped in the right time, to switch over the net not working to his laptop with the hotspot and all. Thank you to Sandeep Patel. Come here.
Thank you, sir.
There, my colleague Sandeep Patel, who made it happen. I almost thought in the last minute that there is a technology hiccup coming. Thank you all. Thank you. I thank all the faculty and others who attended. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
With
sir.
you at
Natarajan.
any point of time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Professor Natarajan, it was a great experience. I'm G.L. Datta. I was at IIT Kharagpur also for about 4 decades. And I heard you very patiently. You are a great teacher, no doubt. Great. It's a great learning for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Datta, sir.
Who is he?
Thank you.
Yeah, I suggest that everybody gets a copy of Bhagavad Gita and goes through it. Right there.
Definitely.
And every
Definitely.
sloka gives you something to think and analyze. Right.
Definitely, sir.
There is no religion in this Bhagavad Gita. There is analytic and thought-provoking thoughts in each sloka.
Any faculty would like to say something? Any member present here would like to share something?
Good evening, sir. I am Dr. Abhilasha Chauhan, faculty from Bhakra University. Your presentation is added more value to my tomorrow's presentation. I have to give a presentation on classroom management and effective teaching. So tomorrow I'm surely going to use your ideology to explain and your the perspective of giving presentation. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll just mail the PPT to your Vice Chancellor in the next 5 minutes and he will share it with you all. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
So I don't hold any proprietorship over the PPT, etc. Right? It is just public domain. I only did the job of putting it the way I wanted. That's it. There is no patent or copyright over this PPT.
Thank you. Thank you. Sir.
Great, great.
Okay, so with the permission of Vice Chancellor, I will close the session now. Okay, so thank you so much, Natarajan sir.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you all, thank you, and have a great evening, and we'll keep meeting.
Okay, definitely, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Good,
Okay.
good night, sir. Good night.
Scroll down. No name background. Sonu Chaudhary, yeah, Sangam University. Oh, thank
Thank you so much, sir, for allowing me in this session.
Thank you.